Welcome to my channel on the best of fantasy. Today I will be sharing my spoiler-free thoughts on the Rain Wilds Chronicles by Robin Hobb. This is one of the series within the realm of the Elderlings. It is, I think, the fourth series, the only one that is a tetralogy, meaning it has 4 books instead of 3. And I am very glad that I read this. So for anyone out there wondering, should I read the Rain Wilds Chronicles? Because I think it is fairly well known that a lot of people feel that it is the weakest installment within the realm of the Elderlings. So there's this question out there, do I want to read it? And my firm answer is I would definitely recommend that anyone who wants to get the full experience from the realm of the Elderlings should read the Rain Wilds Chronicles. And I will say that I enjoyed this series very much. It did not reach the same heights that the other series within the realm of the Elderlings did for me, but it was still a very enjoyable series for the most part. And it also adds a lot of understanding to other aspects of the world and the magic and the lore and many other things, and even some plot elements that take place in the other series. So I don't think it's something you would want to skip if you want the full experience. However, there might be people out there who disagree with me, but I feel like I'm very glad that I read this. So let me talk about some of the elements of the book, starting with the pacing. And I think this might be one reason why some people have a more negative opinion of the Rain Wilds Chronicles. Again, if this is, this is Robin Hobb's weakest installment in the entire realm of the Elderlings, it's still far superior to what most people can do. But the pacing is something that people talk about not only in the context of the Rain Wilds Chronicles, but with Robin Hobb's realm of the Elderlings in general. And I have observed myself in discussing some of the earlier trilogies, such as the Farseer trilogy, that it really does take its time getting going. Robin Hobb takes her time introducing you to the characters and to the world around them, and that has major payoff. And that is true in the Rain Wilds Chronicles as well. It does not have quite the emotional punch that the other series have had for me, but nevertheless, I did feel investment in the characters, and I was fascinated by the world. But yeah, the pacing is slow, particularly I would say in the first book, and that might be because books 1 and 2 were originally supposed to be one book rather, and so I think it was a length issue, and so it was decided to publish them as 2 books, which leaves book 1 feeling kind of a bit without a climax, and so book 1 particularly might drag for people because what Robin Hobb often does is spends the first half of the book with this slow burn, allowing you to feel more and more invested in the characters. And that payoff doesn't come until book 2, and really for me, I would say books 3 and 4 where I felt most invested in the series. So that is one reason perhaps why this might feel weaker to some people. Another possible reason that might affect the pacing, this is something I found personally as I was reading. I noticed there were a lot of flashbacks, which is not in and of itself a bad thing, but it did interrupt the pace quite frequently. And this is a technique that I'm sure Robin Hobb uses in all of her books in the realm of the Elderlings, but I noticed it more in this particular series. And not just flashbacks, but also little reminders that I felt were unnecessary for me. You know how often an author will remind things to be helpful to a reader. So you could call it hand-holding, if you will. I noticed that more in this series as well. And again, that interrupts the pace of the read. So these are other things that I noticed I never noticed before in anything else that I had read in Realm of the Elderlings that slowed things up for me a bit. But again, this is still high quality prose. I am in deep admiration of Robin Hobb's writing abilities. She is a true wordsmith, and there were just beautiful moments in there, as always, with the Realm of the Elderlings. And I also think that she is a master of both the first-person narration and the third-person. Now, first-person, with all the Fitz trilogies, is the rule. You have a first-person narrator, and with the Liveship Traders, Robin Hobb tries out a third-person narrative style. And that is also true of the Rain Wilds Chronicles. It worked really well for me in Rain Wilds. In fact, I have said that I have a preference for Rain Wilds Chronicles over the Farseer trilogy because I felt that more of the characters felt better fleshed out to me. Whereas in the initial trilogy, the Farseer trilogy, yes, the protagonist and narrator, very strong character, but some of the important characters, such as the villains, for me in Farseer, were fairly flat. They fulfilled their function nicely, but they were basically seen from that main character's perspective, and thus we never really got any backstory or inner thoughts or anything like that. With Lifeship Traders, we got really into the mind because we have several POV characters. So you have characters like Kenneth, for example, who is a vivid character, or Althea. These are characters that you feel they are very strong characters, very real, very three-dimensional. However, when Robin Hobb does the third-person narration in the Rain Wilds Chronicles, I did not feel as invested in the characters. I did not feel like there were any standouts like Kenneth or Althea, who were from the Lifeship Traders trilogy, for whatever reason. And it might have been those pacing issues. It might be that I just did not resonate with the characters as much. I did not feel quite as connected to them, particularly in the earlier books. I did feel gradually more and more connected, but I never felt the same emotional connection that I do in every other Robin Hobb series in the realm of the Elderlings. So, in terms of those characters, there were some good ones. I really enjoyed, I would say, probably Cedric is a standout for me, and Elise. Among the dragons, I thought there were some interesting personalities. I probably personally enjoyed Mercor the most. But I enjoyed the dynamics there for the most part, except for the love triangle aspects of this weren't anything that I got really excited over, and that part tended to drag a bit for me. And that I didn't hate it, I would say, but I didn't feel extremely invested in that. But I did enjoy, for the most part, the characters that I got to know. There's even a character who plays a similar role to, if you've read Lifeship Traders, there's a character named Kyle whom no one in the entire world likes. And there's a character who is similarly not likable in this series, in the Rain Wilds Chronicles. So yeah, it's really solid character work for the most part. But again, maybe because Robin Hobb was introducing me to a bunch of new characters, and it does take time for you to feel connected to characters in any series. But I did not feel as invested in their stories. There were a few cameos from characters in Lifeship Traders, and I was excited when I saw them, but they were very minor in nature for the most part. Yeah, it was good. It was good. The characters in here I felt connected to, dragons and humans alike, for the most part. And then I mentioned the coming of age stuff and the love triangle stuff. The coming of age stuff was handled very well, actually. This was an aspect of it that I enjoyed. So even characters who were involved in these love triangles who were on the younger side, even though I didn't really love that part of their narrative, I did enjoy seeing them in terms of their growth, their maturation. That was satisfying for me. And I also felt that many of these characters, both the younger ones and the adult characters, had some very important stories in terms of self-knowledge and empowerment and that sort of thing. So there were very satisfying character arcs in this tetralogy for sure. And as far as the dragons being an important element in here, they're very central here. So if you're interested in Robin Hobb's portrayal of dragons, there are more dragons in this series and more dragon personalities to admire, or it's a case maybe some of the dragons might be a little bit grating, and that is of course very deliberate. But they're like people. They're very much like people. In fact, I think that's kind of the point in having this tetralogy be centered on not just dragons, but the relationships between dragons and people. The dragons are in many ways a mirror for people. They share some of our good qualities and some of our not so good qualities. Among the latter, our tendency to assume that the entire world exists for us to exploit. And dragons, being intelligent creatures, are similarly arrogant in how they interact with the rest of the world. But for various reasons, which I won't get into because of spoilers, these dragons have their struggles, much like the human characters as well. So they are relatable on that level, that they are also struggling to find their place, to mature. So that was a very enjoyable aspect of that, the dragon-human dynamic in this tetralogy. I enjoyed it very much. And I expect brilliant incorporation of themes anytime I read a Robin Hobb book. But I think the thing that I love the most about the Rainwild's Chronicles would probably be the setting and the world building. And anyone who's read the series will probably know what I mean. Kelsingra is the only word I probably need to say for those who have read it. But there's some vivid settings in here that allow the reader to much more deeply understand the magic of the world of the realm of the Elderlings. So that's a cool aspect of it in terms of the lore and the understanding of how magic works, and also the history, the layers of history that undergird this world that Robin Hobb is so vividly portraying for us. So this is the only series where, for me, in the realm of the Elderlings, where for me, the setting actually trumps the character work. And that is a major reason why I'm glad that I read the Rainwild's Chronicles, because I feel like I have a much firmer grip on how this world works and its history. There are still many mysteries, and I'm actually now reading the final trilogy in the realm of the Elderlings, the Fitz and the Fool trilogy, so I'm hoping for more things to fall into place, but this is part of the pleasure of reading the series, is seeing this vivid world opening up, and a lot of that happens in the Rainwild's Chronicles, so I enjoyed that very much. I really enjoyed that aspect of it, and being lost in it along with the characters. So a big thumbs up from me. Definitely not my favorite. It probably is. Well, it definitely is my least favorite series within the realm of the Elderlings, but still a very enjoyable read. I highly recommend it. And that's it from me for now. Until next time.